Welcome to the course on universal human values. So now today we'll discuss few things about the self, the imagination, how it gets expressed in behavior and work. So we're discussing about the first order. We've already discussed about the needs, the self and the body, how the self and body is coexistence of each other, how the needs of self and needs of body are different. So if we talk about the activities of self, it is continuous. So we have this power of desire, that is we have the capacity for the activity of imaging. So we are able to image. We have the power of thought. We have the capacity for the activity of analyzing. So we are able to analyze. We have the power of expectation. We have the capacity for the activity of selecting. So we are able to select. So these powers are inexhaustible. So the activities are continuous. Try to observe these activities are going on in you continuously or not. Are you having some desire or the other all the time? Like the desire to be happy, is it always there? Or sometimes you have no desire at all? Are you having some thought or the continuously, other continuously? Or there are times when you stop thinking? Are you having one or the other expectation all the time? Or there are times when you have no expectation? Like, do you always have the expectation to keep the body comfortable and you keep selecting some body posture or the other? Start by observing your activities during the day, and later you can make the observations during the night also. If you're not able to see that it is continuous, you have to go on finding out, go on exploring, checking whether there is any time when there is no desire, when there is no thought, or when there is no expectation. Find out if these activities are not going on or they are going on but you're not aware that they are going on. Activities of imaging, analyzing, comparing, and selecting, tasting are always going on, whether we are aware of them or we are not aware of them. They are continuous. So, activities together constitute imagination. So, if you put these activities together, it is called imagination. So, we may not immediately be able to observe our desire, thought, and expectation, but it may be easier to see that something is going on within. One imagination or the other is going on in us all the time. You can look into yourself and find out whether this imagination is going on in you all the time, or you can stop it. It is important to look into yourself to find out. So, what do you find? If you observe yourself, you will find that some imagination or the other is going on all the time. Even if you observe yourself for 5 minutes, you will find some 10, 20, 30 imaginations taking place. You may do this exercise to just observe yourself for 5 minutes and see all that is going on inside you. Imagination gets expressed in terms of behavior and work. Human being is taken at the level of the imagination. Similarly, for any work we do with rest of nature, the decisions are taken at the level of imagination. It is where all decisions are taken. Can you see that? You may select to express something outside as behavior or work, or you may select not to express anything outside. That decision is also taken at the level of imagination. When it comes to the expression outside, the body is used as an instrument. In behavior, you may use the body to share your feeling of respect for your friend by way of words in work with the rest of nature. You may involve your body to sow the wheat, seeds, and so on. So, your behavior or work is simply an expression of your imagination in which the body is involved. When your imagination is in harmony with your natural acceptance, it leads to harmony within and therefore a state of happiness. If this imagination is in contradiction with your natural acceptance, it leads to disharmony and unhappiness. It is very important to see what is going on in our imagination, to be aware of our imagination because our basic aspiration of happiness depends on it. This is what we have to start looking into. One of our colleagues related this incident, I remember. conducting a workshop in a small town for a group of teachers, I asked them, "Can you tell me what is your desire?" One of them said, "As long as I'm alive, I want unlimited wealth, and after death, I want moksha." No, these are quite contradictory desires. When he is working for unlimited wealth, he will keep worrying about what will happen to his liberation. When he is working for liberation, he will keep thinking about what will happen to that unlimited wealth. So, with these contradictions, he will be in a state of unhappiness. Can you see that? So, when we are comfortable within, when we are in harmony within, when we are in a state of happiness within, our behavior and work is also likely to be harmonious. When we are uncomfortable, disharmony, confusion, and unhappiness within, our behavior and work is also likely to be disharmonious. So, we take this example again and again just to clarify the point. When you're thinking of taking revenge from someone for 2 hours, and after 2 hours, you drop the idea, is there any execution outside? There is no execution at the level of body, no execution in behavior, and no execution in work. However, a lot has taken place at the level of imagination, and this becomes the source of your happiness and unhappiness. For these 2 hours, you were thinking of taking revenge of a position which is not naturally acceptable to you. So, for these 2 hours, you were in the state of contradiction, of unhappiness. The other person may not even know of it as you have not expressed it outside. Similarly, when you think for 2 hours about a friend with a feeling of respect, about how to express your feeling of respect to him, you are in harmony within because the feeling of respect is naturally acceptable to you. When you are in harmony within, you are in a state of happiness. Of course, if you express this feeling of respect to your friend, it will lead to happiness for your friend also. Since respect is naturally acceptable to him as well, observe your own state of imagination and try to correlate your expression in terms of behavior and work. When is your behavior fulfilling for the other? When is your work mutually enriching? Find out if imagination is going on or not going on. Is it going on continuously, or there is a point of time when there is no imagination taking place? Can you see that you decide at the level of imagination and that your behavior works is just the expression of your imagination? Can you see that you use your body as and when required for expressing your decisions? You may be aware of it or you may not be aware of it. So keep on observing and keep on verifying this. While the self is central to human being, if you look at the self, this imagination is central to the self in the sense that happiness and unhappiness depends on the state of imagination. With that, it also connects the self to the world outside in terms of behavior with human being and work with rest of nature. It further connects to natural acceptance within. In that sense, the imagination plays a central role. So, self verification on the basis of natural acceptance should be there. So, it should not be based on preconditioning, enslavement. So, there should be some self organized. So, if we talk about the state of imagination, we may find it difficult at first to observe our imaginations. We may then be able to see some of them. Maybe with gaps in between, we may remember some imaginations and not others. Some imaginations may be connected to each other, or some may be disconnected and even very contrary to each other. You may remember there was a TV serial called Mungeri Lal Ke Haseen Sapne, A Beautiful Dreams of Mungeri Lal. It's about the daydreams of a person called Mungeri Lal. What it depicts in each of the episode is that in first 1 minute he is a peon sitting outside an office on a stool, and soon he takes off into his imagination for some 20 minutes, and in last 1 minute he realizes that he is the peon sitting outside the office on his stool. So these 20 minutes he imagines all kinds of very interesting things. If you start looking at yourself, you will find that it is only that person who is having these imaginations. We all are having such imaginations, one after the other. We may or may not be aware of our imaginations. We may or may not be able to find out where they are coming from. but imaginations are going on in each one of us. So you can find out what is going on in your imagination even in 5 minutes. So many imaginations will be taking place one after the other. Are you able to see that? Are you aware of them? How much time your attention is in this class and how much time you are imagining other things? So, to comprehend one paragraph, you may be able to observe that you have to read it more than once, even if it is of interest to you. That is because you are thinking of many other things in between while reading. When you look at the things to which your attention goes to, those are the things you consider important. Sometimes you think what is written in the book is important, and sometimes you may think of your friends who have gone for a movie. So that is why when we are conducting a class for this course, we keep repeating the important points many times, because we have an idea about what may be happening in the students. So you may be going from one imagination to other imagination. By the time we speak something, we state some important point, this you guys picks up a few words, and then he or she takes off. He or she starts imagining something else, and so on. For 10 minutes, he or she is off the class in her own imagination, and he or she does not know what is going on in the class. 10 minutes later, when she comes back and tries to trace what is being talked about. You see, we are clear that every student wants to know, wants to understand. We also have an idea about their ability to focus by keeping both these things in mind. So we write the contents on the board, we also keep repeating 10 times, 20 times, so that even if he or she comes back after 15 minutes, he or she should be able to find out what is being talked about, to get the point being discussed. Slowly over time, things settle down as he or she is able to see the relevance of what is being discussed. Then her attention stays for more time on the discussion and we can go faster. So it shows the way imagination goes while a student is sitting in the classroom, the teacher is giving an assignment and the student is writing down the assignment. Suddenly the student remembers his friend who are planning to go for a movie. He recalls the last time he saw a movie with them. Many scenes may flash before him of the escapedness of the hero and the heroine. A loud thud of dropping duster brings him back to the classroom. The board has now been filled up with 20 questions for the assignment. Anoop sees, like when a student sees his notebook where only the first question has been written, he'll be surprised at that. He starts writing the questions. He thinks that he can't catch up with teacher's pace. So he starts planning how to get a copy of the questions. He will get it from the notes of one of his friends again. He slips back to the imagination about the movie. He also wants to be a scientist. He wants to have a big house with a lab in the basement. He wants to have a nice family, but he has to get some decent grades for that, he thinks. And so it goes on, one imagination after another. At this point you may try to identify the desire, the thoughts and the selections. One desire is leading to many thoughts. Selecting, if you try to trace your own imaginations, you will get an idea of the activities going on in you. You will find out that you are deciding the content of your imagination. You will find out that your imagination stays on these contents that you consider valuable, consider important. When you do this exercise, you will find that many of your imaginations are in harmony with each other. Some are contrary to each other or contrary to your natural acceptance. Find out how you feel when your imaginations are contrary to each other. Are you comfortable or uncomfortable? You will find that only when your imaginations are in line with your natural acceptance it leads to happiness. Only when your imaginations are in harmony with each other it leads to happiness. This is significant observation to make. It points to the fact that your happiness and unhappiness depends on your own imagination. If you're not aware of your imaginations, they are still going on, making you happy or unhappy, all without your awareness. So once you start looking at your imagination, becoming aware of your desire, thought, and expectation, you'll be able to find out the state of your imagination. Your imagination could be well organized, in harmony, or it could be a random mixture of harmony and contradiction. It could be in harmony or in contradiction with your natural acceptance. So, some of the possible sources of imaginations are preconditioning, sensation, and natural acceptance. The seed or root of the imagination is the desire. A small desire expands in thought and further expands in expectation. If we can be aware of our desire, we can check if it is in line with our natural acceptance or not before expanding it further in our imagination. So, if you want to come first in the class, is it really your own desire? Did you decide it yourself, or it came from your parents, or it came from your teachers, or it came from your friends, or it came from the social environment? What is it? We don't usually ask these questions as to where it is coming from. It looks like we are deciding, but when we question deeper that how these desires came, then we may find that it came from the family, from teachers, from friends, and so on. So preconditionings, these sensations, natural acceptance. So preconditioning is a source of motivation for imagination, and sensation it's another source of motivation for imagination. Natural acceptance is the most authentic source of motivation for imagination. So, like, to try to find out what your natural acceptance is, whether to respect or to disrespect others, to protect your body or to damage your body, to eat food that nurtures your body or to eat food that harms your body, right? So there are some consequences of this imagination from these three sources, which should be self organized or enslavement. Thank you.